Ladies and gentlemen, it's time to welcome April Kae to the Buy My Merch podcast. Thank you for being here, April.
I am so happy to be here, Marilyn. This is awesome.
Now, I don't know how we're going to be able to show this on camera, but I think you're wearing the coolest Crocs I've ever seen.
I can show.
You want to do a quick lift to kick things off?
Just don't show my feet on the internet.
No feet, obviously.
But these are my new shoes.
She comes walking in, 7 feet tall.
Yes. They're my first ever designer item I purchased, and maybe my last. I'm a Crocs girly. I've been wanting them for years, and I'm really thrilled to debut them on this podcast. That's actually why I'm here, is to talk about my purchase for an hour.
Absolutely. Of the Crocs. I think what I love, though, is the platform. We have our photographer, Stephanie's getting like extreme close-ups. The platform really takes us to a different level.
Literally.
But I can't not start by bringing them up. So it's actually a really great segue into what I knew I had to start with, which is you have just this undeniable, unique, almost like artist brand you've created that's all over your marketing, your social media, and your artistry. How have you like cultivated that over the years?
So before I was able to do music full time, I was in social work school. And the way that I found my way to social work was music and community organizing have always been at the core of what I do. I actually majored in economics because I was like, money is the root of all evil, and so let me figure out how it works. And I would apply for these quant jobs, these like data jobs, and I would always they'd be like, we love what you did, great job, we want to hire you, but would you be down to actually work in marketing? Like, I'm not kidding, this happened to me at every job I was at. On Wall Street, I ended up in a marketing position. I worked at a radio station, I ended up in a marketing position. I was at another nonprofit, I ended up in a marketing position, and I had applied for data positions. And I was like, I took these jobs and was, again, continuing to pursue my music through all of it. Like, music as a full-time job that could make a living to help my family wasn't available to me, but I wasn't going to let go of it.
Yeah.
And I continued to do it. My background in social work, my background in community work means that I'm really interested in pieces that are sustainable, or pieces that reflect my values, pieces that make political statements. And now that I have this platform, I get to try things on a massive scale and continue to learn what feels good for me, what feels good for others, and where that sweet spot is.
I mean, I gotta be totally honest. The marketing background makes a lot of sense. You've so expertly weaved it all together so that it doesn't feel like this sort of forced, like you're putting on a costume or you're looking a certain way. This is you in every way. Even how you walked in and how we've already been chatting it up. I just wanted to compliment you on that. And again, any just like off the cuff advice that you might give an artist who comes to your page and is like, this is the voice I want to find for myself.
I actually I have a very literal answer to give you. When I worked in public radio, we had a brand guide template we had people fill out. I send it to them and, I say, fill this out. And it's great because it's a great way to save me time, because most people don't fill it out. Most people are afraid to look in the mirror that closely. Who is your audience that you really want to reach? What is their gender? What are their politics? I think those types of things can be really intimidating for people, but they're important questions to ask, because then that can guide so much. I'm a bass player, and only about 10% or so of bass players are women. But I'm interested in targeting women because something else that's really important to me is sharing my story and people connecting with it, and the struggles that I've had finding who I am as a woman, as well as queer, as well as a person with intersectional identities. And so if I just put out bass content online, it's going to go to mostly men, because that's who mostly plays bass, right? And so if I don't consciously say I want to reach women, I'm not going to do that. And so that's a really great example of why it's so important to be able to ask yourself those kind of challenging questions about who you want to reach, who you are, what are your brand colors, what do you stand for?
That's fantastic advice. Kind of like I've heard the term of brand Bible. It's a similar world, but I like that you're saying it doesn't have to be so extensive. It can be just like a list of 10 questions. And I want to ask too, as you've grown a social media audience, you also perform live all the time. What is some of the differences of interacting with a live versus digital audience?
I love that question, because one of the things I noticed, I played Coachella this past weekend, and one of the things I noticed was I really tend to pick out individual members of the audience. Like, if there's a clapping section and I'm sort of motioning the clap, I'll like point at people and be like, okay, we're clapping. Like I won't just kind of clap and stare off into space. I will clap and do so targeted towards specific people.
Yep.
And that's how you move a crowd ultimately, is all an audience is online or in person is a group of people, right? And building up my social platform, for me, I was not a TikTok virality story. That certainly helped me along. But my story, I feel, is bringing in people one by one, whether that's online, whether that's in person. And so I respond to comments, I respond to DMs. It's important to me, even if I can't get to all of them, that no matter how much my platform grows, to continue to do that. Someone who does that super well is SZA. She's a huge artist, and she's always engaging and commenting really authentically with her community. Yeah. And that builds much deeper connections than you build by talking to a large group. So I think that individual connection part is a through line. I think there are some musicians, especially instrumentalists, who are so focused on their instrument and that is their life and that is who they are. That's not me. Like I say, I'm open. Like I love bass. I think a lot of bass players love bass more than me. Like I love playing. I would also play, I was playing guitar in my band for a while because we were a vocal trio and like bass was just, it was just too much. I was more in support of the music, right? Yep. Because really for me, really the real tea is world building.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. And you're doing a great job of it. So much so that you have caught the attention over the years of Fender. Mm-hmm. There's some fabulous Fenders, including your own behind you there. A little birdie told me there is a signature April Kae bass in the works. There's going to be some things you can't tell me, but what can you tell me about this process right now?
So I started with Fender in 2021, and that was before I was doing music full time. I was in social work school, hustling, and I got my first Fender endorsement while I was in social work school. And it was this amazing vote of confidence that this space, this world that felt so much bigger than me, like it was a dream for me to own a Fender, let alone like I didn't even process that I could work with them, let alone processing I could create something with them that's original. What I've really respected about Fender and what I advise to any brand partner is to actually cultivate a relationship.
Yes.
Take your content creators, take your clients to lunch, ask their opinions on things, listen to their opinions. I will give myself credit. I am why Fender got on Threads. I messaged them and I was like, guys, get on Threads. Like, you're sleeping. Because I was one of the first people they posted on their TikTok and kind of helped them get started there. That's a real brand artist creative relationship. Like, it's reciprocal. And we did a project within the past year or so at the end of last year where they approached me and they were working with a bunch of other artists, Div, Julian Baker, and approached me like, hey, we want you to put together a band and you could do any song you want. And so I ended up putting together a band of some of my favorite musicians ever that I admire for years. I paid them great. We did a Billie Eilish cover right around when she came out with her record, and it was just so amazing. And I think we sold a lot of basses. You know, the line did great. For me, it's going to be really about reaching beginners and giving beginners something exciting to learn on and something exciting to grow on. The main inspiration for me with how I want this bass to live is the Dinosaur Jr. guitar.
Oh, yeah.
Everyone knows it, right? Mm-hmm. And it's the perfect instrument. People of all levels can enjoy it and appreciate it. And it's really accessible for beginners and gives beginners a massive palette to play with. So who knows beyond that? Like we're figuring it out. And I'm getting some custom shop basses. Like we're trying different colors and things like that and talking about all sorts of specs. But ultimately what's exciting for me is doing something new that Fender's never done and doing an artist bass that has that special creative touch and is really more available for everybody and gets beginners really, really excited.
Oh, that's awesome. Well, I, for one, cannot wait to see this thing. When it comes to brand deals or building any relationships with a music brand or otherwise, is it happening for you through social media? What are ways that you're connecting with brands these days?
If you want to get brand deals, make content that brands want to buy and then insert their brand into. It's that simple. So that's how they find me. I'm pretty sure close to 100% of the time. With Fender, actually, I got introduced through a friend, and that more started out as an organic kind of artist relationship where they sent me a guitar and got to know people, went to events, things like that. But as far as just brand deals, it's all about making content that brands want to buy. I'll talk numbers because I yesterday saw a TikTok from Wisdom K about how much he earns, right? Mm-hmm. And I think it's like he has about 7 million followers and gets paid about 100,000 per post. Reverse that math and apply it to yourself. It's that simple. There are a lot of people now who are being public about how much they make, especially the creators at the top. And all you really got to do is divide it. And I did that math with my following, and it's about where it should be. A little lower because I'm very unique in what I do, right? So I can charge higher rates. I've been doing it for quite a bit longer. I started doing brand deals before TikTok existed. So for that reason, my rates are a bit higher. But I'd say start there. Or if you don't have a massive following, I'd say try at least $50 to start. You know, if you got under 10K, try at least 50. Next time ask for 100, 150. That's what I did. I think the first deal I did, it was like around 50 a post for like 5 posts. It was awful. I felt very ripped off for my time, but I learned to scale from there. You got to start somewhere.
Really smart advice, because after a few sort of underpaid moments, it's definitely time to take advantage of what influencer rates are. Mm-hmm. Even if you're a musician posting online, if you have a following, you are an influencer of some kind. And I just think that's great advice.
Yeah, and I love that you pointed out, you said if you're a musician with a following, you're still an influencer and should take advantage of influencer rates. That's very true. What tends to happen is if you're priced out of one campaign, if you price them out, they'll come back around. Like, they do respect it. As long as you are a great communicator and your work's good, totally. It is really important, though, to build up your portfolio and build up both your amount of content that brands want to see and also brand collab content. Because the other thing is, they need to, one, see a piece of content that they want to purchase. They also need to know that you can do brand collabs. And the biggest advice I can give, it's made a huge difference for me. Put it in your bio. Put open for collabs in your bio. It's made a huge difference for me. And the other thing is a track record. I have all my collabs pinned. I even have a page on my website for it. And I don't know any musician who has a brand collab page on their website. And that sort of thing is great evidence that you're a safe person to hire and that you're a safe investment, which again allows you to charge more.
And what do you say for musicians who are, I guess, hesitant?
In my experience, there's 2 types of musicians I meet when it comes to their philosophies or ideas around doing sponsored content. One is people who are stoked and who are like, what can I do? And then another category who's like, man, that money sure looks good, but I don't think I have the mental space for it. If you're fly on a boss and you're running through Chipotle anyway, you better be taking brand deals, right? You know, and for me, I'm kind of on this edge. I am very much in alternative spaces. I work with Fever 333, but I know this is where my income comes from. So I'm really mindful of that as I'm working through my content. It's getting connected with people and being able to make money. And so to the extent that I can do that, I'm good. I totally don't think it's for everybody, but if you're on the fence, I think the dollar amounts should speak for themselves in terms of how that will let you fund your work on period. Like, I'm so grateful that if a record label ever does come to me, it's going to be a good deal.
And you'll make sure of it.
Because I don't, when I hear about $10,000 for a record, now you know.
For a song?
Now, yeah.
One song of the record.
Yeah, for one song, then we can maybe talk. But even then, right, because the numbers I've seen with social media make $10,000 not as much something I need to jump at, right? I wouldn't be going necessarily because I need that $10,000 to make my music, right?
Yep.
I may not have an extra $10,000 to make my music, but I do have a strong and consistent income in an area that pays quite a bit so that I won't be swayed by money. I'm able to self-fund ultimately. I'm able to self-fund in a way that is really fun also. The more I am working with brands, the more they come to me for me, and the more I'm able to just make the kind of content I make anyway and get paid for it. And that's the dream, right? I can go on about this topic forever. Beyonce is one of my favorite examples of someone who makes quite a bit of sponsored content, but it's all in service of her brand. She said, Levi's, I will do you the favor of being in your ads and you giving me I don't even wild amounts of money.
It's
Wild
a
amount.
lot.
I don't know how much, but it has to be just unearthly gobs of money. And she's like, yes, you're welcome, Levi's, right? And in service of her brand, this whole Western thing she has going on. And I'm sure they're outfitting everyone like that's what we want to be doing, right? Make them pay us for our self-expression.
Every single person with a platform online is considered an influencer of some kind. Take advantage of it. Outside of brand deals, what is your current either schedule or philosophy with keeping your accounts up to date?
Great question. I recently had a chat with my manager. My goal is to get to 3 times a week. On Instagram, what they say is you want to be posting 3 to 5 reels a week and 1 or 2 carousels. And I do believe that is true for me because of my live performance schedule and also working on my original music. It's just not possible for me to maintain my quality standard. Yeah. One of the great things about when you first start out is you don't have to have a quality standard. So please don't use that as an excuse. That's the thing I find obnoxious. It's like, well, it needs to be. No, it doesn't. You don't have a standard. Start anywhere. Like if you scroll down my feed, like there's some ugly, embarrassing things that I leave up. Like I really do some ugly posts because that's what I needed to do. I needed to get those out. And now I have a really strong track record. I borderline have a formula. Because of that, it's like I know what to do and I just need time to do that stuff. I'm trying to do every other post bass, just jam, enjoy the music, and every other one being something a little different, whether that's a recap or photos or something like that. Instagram allows you to build a real community, and that's what you want for music. You're not going to build a music career off of a bunch of people streaming your song one time. Like you're going to build a career off a specific group streaming your songs a bunch of times, and then those people coming to your shows and buying your merch and supporting you and maybe buying your bass course or buying your bass, right? Like that's the real community. And so Instagram is just a superior platform for that than TikTok. Whenever I start on a new platform, I always start with like the couple that I knew do really well, because that way it gives me a barometer of what to expect, because I've seen, this do well on YouTube, Facebook, Instagram. I started off posting my best performing bass content on Threads. I made a challenge. I said, I'm only going to post threads that are text. I'll post if I make a new video, I'll post it to Threads. Like if I do a new post, I'll post it to Threads because I try to post things to all the platforms. But my regular 5 threads a day, just text. And it's been so cool. And now some of my highest, best performing threads are text only. And people are connecting to me because of other parts of who I am. On Threads, I have so many of my opinions, just my opinions and my words that I've shared, that like my top one is 50,000 likes, which is like if I got that on Instagram, I'd be 50,000 likes, and it's a political take. And so that's just been so great for me as an artist to expand my own palette and my own self-definition.
I'm hearing that you have some new music in the works, and I want to ask you what your typical marketing checklist is for releasing something new.
So in the past, I've definitely done sort of the typical marketing checklist you'd find on Google, but I'm doing something completely different this time.
Okay.
Where kind of because I got my start on social media, I'm starting new accounts on every platform. It's going to be April Unplugged. Every day I'm going to post content that's more storytelling and more casual and more me talking and kind of the video version of my threads, sort of yappy, but focused on things I'm passionate about. And then it's going to be storytelling post, and then I'm going to do like a photo carousel, and then share music. I'm only going to release on Bandcamp to start because I want to build a really intimate community and I want to learn what works. So this round, I'm trying to self-produce and release 30 songs this year. That's my goal. My thinking is too, as I get more in the process, the later ones can be more like acoustic versions or simple things, because it's all about just experimenting and putting out music. So now my checklist is going to be the song's done, don't sit on it, put it on Bandcamp as soon as possible, make some storytelling content, some carousel content, and some kind of more regular lip sync, music marketing type content around it. And then if something amazing happens out of that and one of the songs catches fire, we can talk about going to that Google checklist with the music videos and live performances and release show and all that. But right now, I'm really wanting to build community and continue to find my voice.
That's awesome. I can't wait to hear. I think sounds like by the time this comes out, you might have some of it out there.
I'm going to say will.
She will. Okay. Well, I'm going to make sure to link
it
so people can find it. That's awesome. Follow-up hypothetical for you. It could be for any project, real or otherwise. If you had only $1,000 to market an entire album in 2025, what would you do with that $1,000?
If I was to market an album with $1,000, I would say my goal would be to share who I am beyond bass with a audience who really gets it, right? So there's a lot of things implied there, right? It's not about streams. It's not about fame. It's not about tours, right? I'm just trying to get this small audience. Figure out what your goal is. So what I would do, I would, if I'm trying to do that, then I would use the money. I would make free content with my phone, with my video on my own time by myself, or with a friend who would be down to do it for free, or $50. Let's give my friend $50. That's now we're at $9.50. And then I'd probably use most of it to pay other people to make authentic content who are down. Like I said earlier, right? If you're around the 10K mark, it's about a fair price, $50, $250. Pay those folks to make video to my sound, and then I'll share it. And it's not and again, I'm not talking about, this is not a good way to get streams, in my opinion. This is not a good way to necessarily get tour dates, but it's a good way to connect with community. So I'm going to figure out who are these people who I want to attract and find small creators who can make content to that end, because one, they're promoting it. Two, it's teaching the algorithm who likes my content. And three, and kind of most importantly, I can repurpose that content to show the people I want to bring in, hey, people like you already like this. And I will say too, I've done that. And in the past, something else I've done that can help to this end is actually Facebook ads, because you can target them so specifically. So for me, I would say her, the guitar player, if I were to put even a little bit of money, even $10, $20, just to help it get out there a little bit more to people who like her based in LA, based in New York City. I would really specifically target my ads through who I want to bring in. I wouldn't just boost posts willy-nilly.
Very good answer. Thorough, and many directions for you to take with that one, if you're listening and watching. Tell me about one thing that you've regretted spending money on in your music career so far.
If I were to have regrets around spending money with music, it would be times where I thought I had to do things like the pros do it. It's a different ball game. I love Beyonce. She's my everything. And when people say, oh, we all have the same amount of hours as Beyonce, no, we don't. She has a team. She has a block of songwriters. She has all of these, like, she has people who do her makeup. Like, I can't afford that, right? We do actually have different amounts of time, resources, and very, very, very different goals, extremely different goals. One funny one is I got Invisalign, which I think was a good choice because it's going to help my dental health, blah, blah, blah. But I just really thought, I was like, I need to invest in my appearance. I have a platform. Like, girl, you look fine. Your teeth was fine. Like, I could have used that $8,000 is what I miss that $8,000 often. And another one, frankly, was in my journey to do my own music, I didn't believe in myself as a producer. I thought that I had to hire other people. In my mind, I didn't even really think that they had to be so good. That's what you do. If you're an artist, you have a producer. Like, that's, every artist has their producers. Quincy Jones, Michael Jackson. You know, that's how it is. I got to find my No. I'm not Michael Jackson. Like, I wish I was Michael Jackson, but I'm not Michael Jackson. Yep. And I can produce just about as well as anyone that my not Michael Jackson behind can afford. And so I need to stop being too big for my britches and ultimately, like, use the resources I have.
More hot takes followed by great answers. Do you think a TikTok ban would have a positive or negative effect on the music industry, thinking about where it's at right now?
I think it would have a positive effect only because it would be a chance for people to start fresh and start over. It's so hard to break through on TikTok now simply because so many people are. I am always saying, I said I have a background in economics. Social media effectively operates in terms of supply and demand, right? Right now, there's too much supply. There are way more musicians trying to break through on TikTok than there are people who want to discover new music. And so I think just kind of getting rid of anything established almost and forcing people to start fresh. I think just like we saw a bunch of artists breaking when TikTok first came about, right? That was a big change. I welcome big changes. one of the things that's helped me in my career, especially on social media, is every time there's a new platform or a shift, like I'm all about it. Like I started editing my content, which sounds so funny now, but people mostly didn't edit their TikToks. They would just post them, right?
Yeah.
And I noticed editing becoming a bigger and bigger part of social media across the board. And so I started to edit. And that's when I've gotten some of my biggest, most viral videos, is when I caught these shifts and incorporated them.
You know, in a similar vein, there's a lot of discussion around Spotify and the good and bad with Spotify. What's your thoughts there on its impact over the next 5 to 10 years in the industry?
I really don't know. I can often get pretty hopeless when it comes to Spotify because it seems like you have to get caught onto the algorithm and that you kind of need major funding to do that. It seems like if you don't have a major label with their connections to get you on the playlist and the money to get the streams, or however they're doing it, whether it's through other marketing tactics, whether that's through working with Spotify directly, it seems like you can. It's not like about anti-Spotify. It's just any algorithm that's kind of hard to break through is going to be limiting. And so that's why I want to release on Bandcamp, because my goal right now is just to build a good community of listeners. And I think Spotify honestly can even mess up my headspace. I can get really focused on the numbers and the algorithm.
Yeah.
And I see a lot of other people focused on that and brought down by it. And I'm not there. That's not right now, with no music out under my name. Like, trying to catch the Spotify algorithm, I think it's good that it's kind of far away from my thoughts, because I think it would psych me out.
Yeah, it feels like we were talking a little bit about music discovery too. Spotify does have some great music discovery tools, but there's implications across the board of what it actually means and who they prioritize. Right. And I want to bring up something that I think is so wonderful that you do, which is your bass lessons. It's clear to me that music education, just from being on your page for 2 seconds, is very important to you. And I just want to ask, why is music education so important to you?
I love that question. Why is music education important to me? I came up from public school. Like, I started playing bass in public school orchestra, and that was where I was able to get lessons. Like, my family at the time didn't have money for lessons, didn't have even money to give me a bass. And I rented basses from my school for the first 3 years. And I played upright bass because that's what I could play. I was in the all city jazz band, like playing upright bass. All of those experiences are what make me a good player today. And so I see that as a creation of opportunity. And I'm really pro-education, period. I worked in education nonprofit. Like, that was my focus area, working in community organizing. It's always been about creating opportunities, especially opportunities for people who may not otherwise have them, or where it's more difficult, because I was one of those people. Both my parents are musicians, but at the same time, like, it's expensive, even if that money is in terms of time, right? It just takes a lot to learn an instrument. So to have that support basically for free from school, I wouldn't be here without it. And so having like accessible music education is what's enabled me to live this life that I live. And so when I talk to people who want to play bass, like, that's what I say, like, by learning this, you're opening doors for yourself. And so I make sure to make my school really affordable. I offer tons of discounts. I give out, sometimes free scholarships, really whatever it takes to get people the same opportunities that I had, and ideally greater opportunities. There was so much I didn't know about the industry because I wasn't in it and I didn't have connections, and I was so behind. I'm still so behind, and it's okay. Like, it's so fine. I'm gonna say that's fine. I'm behind.
Always more to learn.
Yeah, I don't have Nepo parents, and I just learned like this year how like splits work, and I'm still like, I never have entered a splits agreement. Like that's how new I am to this industry part. And at the same time, playing with big bands, playing at big festivals like Coachella, touring, it's been really important for me to learn these things. And it's going to be really important as I continue to release my own music to know about the music industry and protect myself.
How important is it for you to inspire other women in the music industry?
Growing up, there was not a bass player that looked like me until Esperanza Spalding came around. And I got shivers because I actually went to college in Oregon, in Portland, which is where she's from. And everywhere I went, people would say, "You're going to be the next Esperanza." And I'm like literally getting tears in my eyes as I say this, because she's the only one, right? She was the only one. And now there are so many more Black women playing bass. Beyonce really prioritizing bringing in Black women instrumentalists. Like, we have a community now, and it's so incredible because I'm so supported individually by other Black women, but women, trans people, non-binary people, like folks who are just not white dudes. And the white dude domination in music is wild. Like, I worked on Wall Street. I worked on Wall Street. I worked in modeling. I've never been in a more homogenous industry till this one. Wall Street and modeling, the two most notoriously like exclusive. No, there is white dude central. It's wild. If you watch Saturday Night Live and look at who's in the band on the show, and in everyone's band they bring on, it's all white dudes. And I'm sorry, white dudes are not the best at music. It don't make any sense. What makes sense is that it's you hire your friend, right? And so if the industry is dominated by white guys, they hire their friend. It's going to be another white guy. It's a lot easier, quote unquote, to work with your producer and have him play bass than hire someone who's a full-time bass player. And that's often what we see, especially on bass, is people's producers. Yeah. And those are real and really good jobs that could and often should be occupied by other people. And a lot of the time, for the aesthetic of what they're even trying to do, having a Black woman makes sense. If you're a Black woman artist and you're all about Black women, why is your whole band dudes? Why is your whole band white dudes? And I'm not even putting that on these women. I'm not saying Black women artists, we need to carry the weight. Like, Beyonce is in a really fortunate position that she can do that, and it makes sense for her. Because at the same time, a lot of the girlies is booked and busy, right? We need new talent coming in. If more women and more marginalized people aren't coming in, then there's no community. I've played so many metal festivals with Fever over the years, and anytime I see another woman bass player on the big screen or on a stage, like, I will follow her and DM her, like, period, because we are out here for each other, and every time there's someone else who does it, that makes more space for us.
Oh, beautiful. Again, I don't kind of speechless thinking about that. It's just it's been such an honor to have so many cool women that it's not just, oh, you are in this cool band or you play this cool instrument. Mm-hmm. You are making an extra effort to educate others, not just through your words, but also I have a course. And these are things that I really want to make sure I am putting out there for others. So it's just a beautiful thing. And congratulations again on all your success. And I'm just excited for everyone to hear this. Thank you so much for being on the Buy My Merch podcast. This was a blast. And I'm just super excited to see what's coming next. And I want the early dibs on that bass, the specs and everything with Fender. Yeah. Hope you're listening, Fender. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Marilyn. This was amazing, and I'm so grateful to be part of this cool music maker community. I already know people in it. I'm stoked for whoever comes through because of this. BassLessonsWithApril.co. If you ever thought about playing bass, go there. There's a discount, I promise.
You bet. Thank you so much.